So you're moving to Ann Arbor and you're wondering things like, hey, what's the weather like? What can I expect? Can I even afford to live here? What's the city's culture like? Can I fit into this diverse culture that's here in Ann Arbor? Yeah, we're talking about all that stuff. I'm going to tell you exactly my thoughts. Now buckle in for the 7 things you must know before you make that move to Ann Arbor. There's some obvious things that you should know before you move to Ann Arbor, but look, you can find those things all over the internet. I'm not here to make this a boring video. I want to give you the information that you need to know before you make that move to Ann Arbor. Now make sure you hang out till the end. I got some real doozies at the end there. So without further ado, let's get after it. Now the first thing I want to touch on is, Ann Arbor has 2 real seasons, and we're not talking about the weather, we're not talking about winter and summer. What I'm talking about is, Ann Arbor is a college town. It's a large college town, and it's not that big of a city overall. I mean, there's some 30,000, I think even 50,000 students that are around, if you include all the, the undergrad, the graduate, the medical students, and so on and so forth. So there's really 2 different seasons here. That's the kids in school and the kids not in school during the summertime. I'm not sure if you're from a college town or maybe you've been around a college town. This isn't just your normal college town. Like I said, the students make up almost half the population. I mean, our Ann Arbor population is right around that 120, and a good 30 to 50,000 of those are students, are those younger people. And it gets really crowded come school season. We have obviously the fall seasons, we have the football games at the big house, but the school season, I mean, you really have to look around when you're driving through the city. There's kids biking around everywhere, there's people walking around everywhere, and not everybody's used to the way of life here. Not everybody's used to looking both ways before they cross the road. They're not used to the bike lanes, the way those operate. Heck, I go down there, I mean, it's just like, you go into those roundabouts, you drive by those bike lanes. Not everybody knows what the heck they're doing, and that's the thing. You really have to be cautious. You really have to look out for what you're doing. And hey, kids are kids. Sometimes they feel like they rule the place, because they outnumber a lot of us. So you get a little bit of that as well. But most of the time, everybody's getting along. But you just have to be aware that there's really 2 strong seasons that you have to be aware of. And that's kids in school and kids not in school. Now the next reason, we touched on this one a little bit, but the city is really trying to be walking friendly or biking friendly. Overall there are over 150 parks, within all the different little communities, be it Burns Park, Old West Side, some of those popular parks around the area. All these little neighborhoods, they all have their little parks within, and most of these communities are within walking distance, or biking distance to the downtown areas, to the football stadium, things that you might want to go to as a Ann Arbor resident. So like I said, they're working on the bike lanes. There's a lot of people that are all over the sidewalks. The different walking trails that are around, just trying to get around, just try to enjoy life. It's kind of like, I've heard some people say it's like a mini Boulder, Colorado, right? I mean, it's that college atmosphere. A lot of people really dig that, right? You got your little bars and restaurants and, your cool little shops. Obviously, we are Ann Arbor, so there's a lot of big box stores, your Walmarts, Myers, Costco, stuff like that. I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole there, but just to give you an idea, that's kind of where I feel like a lot of times where Ann Arbor is kind of trending towards. Number 3 on this list, well, hey, there's lots of things to do. But at the same token, there's not a whole lot to do. So depending on what you really enjoy to do, I mean, sure, you got your walking paths, you got your, your manicured parks, you got the river with the kayaking and the fishing. So you have some stuff right outside of Ann Arbor metropolitan area. You got your metro parks, your mountain biking and stuff like that. There's all kinds of that stuff going on. The art and fair festivals, the hash bash, all that kind of stuff that you may or may not be into. But if you're really looking for, that adventure, you want to go out camp and you want to go out for a nice long hike, get out to some nice clean water, you're going out 3 or 4 hours. I mean, a lot of people on the weekends, they're going what they call up north, right? They're going to the northern lower peninsula. They're going for, where I'm from, the upper peninsula of Michigan. So really to get away to some of these other places, let's say you want to get away for some world-class fishing, a lot of those places are going to be, further up north, 2-3 hours away. That's not exactly a bad thing. Some people like having the amenities that they have in their hometown. They have the restaurants, they have the bars, they have the schools, and then on the weekends they can kind of just get away. Some people really enjoy that, whether it's a short weekend, Friday to Sunday, or if you're lucky enough to have a longer weekend, to really just get away. A lot of people are having their little, cabins and lodges up north. Like I said, I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Michigan. Our inventory is scarce. If you're looking to do something in Michigan, maybe somewhere up north, maybe somewhere in Ann Arbor, somewhere else in Southeast Michigan, you have to reach out to us. We are the #1 relocation team in Southeast Michigan. Number 4 on that list is the cost of living. Especially with this inventory the way it is, there's not a lot of supply and not enough demand. So that's really driving those prices up. And if you're looking to be within Ann Arbor, there's not a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of infill development, maybe some condos that are closer into town. But a lot of the city of Ann Arbor is kind of it's spread out to the outer circle. Started in the early 1900s, 20s, 30s. That are closer to downtown, and it kind of spread out as you go. But there's just not a lot of room for development. And even on top of that, the University of Michigan is buying a lot of these properties. They're buying a lot of these homes. That's making it harder to find a place to live because, the university, unfortunately, they're able to buy some of these places and double, unfortunately, they're not paying taxes on these places. So you know what? The city of Ann Arbor is still going to be looking to collect their taxes. So you know what that's going to do? That's going to increase your tax rate. Ann Arbor already has an extremely high tax rate. We covered this on another video. I'll link one of those up here somewhere. It's becoming a big problem. People want to move to Ann Arbor, but it's just really hard to afford sometimes. That really depends on where you're coming from. But a lot of people, when they're moving to Michigan, moving to the Midwest, they're thinking, well, I'm moving to the Midwest. The prices shouldn't be that bad. So when they get here, they run into that issue of extremely high prices. But if they're moving from metropolitan areas like somewhere out in San Francisco or Washington D.C., something like that, it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. You move to some of these upper echelon areas in Ann Arbor, it's not really that big of a deal. They're snapping these places up because it's more of a lateral move than it is upsizing or paying more in price. And obviously with the high housing prices, that kind of just goes hand in hand with the raise of rental prices. I mean, rental prices are becoming a severe challenge as well. And not only the housing prices. It's like I said, this isn't like a cost of living video or anything, but you do have the Michigan car insurance, which is also really high. I think it's in the top 5, top 7 states in the U.S. for high car insurance. So that's another thing that to consider. But like I said, I mean, if you're living in downtown Ann Arbor, maybe you don't need a large vehicle. Maybe you don't need a vehicle. I would say I would get a vehicle, but maybe you don't need those things. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Public transit, it isn't the greatest. That they're working on it, but we touch on that in other videos. So let's go on to the next. And number 5, it kind of goes without saying. I can't really do things you should be aware of without mentioning the weather. We're in Michigan. You have the weather. It's kind of southern Michigan, so it's not quite as bad if you're going all the way up north, all the way up to the UP. In those areas, that's where I'm from, and we have a lot of snow up there. But we still have the weather, and with the seasons, comes winter. Right now we're sitting in fall. You can probably see a lot of the pumpkins and apparatus and stuff behind me here, but we're in that. I mean, the fall season, right? When we had 60s, 70s maybe for a week. I think we had 80s for a few days, and now we're down to the 40s and 50s. It really changes really quick around here, and then not before long we'll go into winter. The snow will start flying. I mean, there's been times here in the southern part of Michigan we've had snow falling in October. We don't typically get as much snow until maybe later November into December, those kind of things. But it really just kind of depends on the season, depends on the year. But your typical snow season, right, is kind of like that middle of November up until February, March. That's kind of what it looks like here in the Lower Peninsula, or I should say in the southern Lower Peninsula. So I mean, speaking of winter, you really have to be doubly aware of what's going on, because these students are trying to get around and you're driving on icy roads and the snow plows, they're plowing snow off to the side of the road and there's too many cars on the side of the road. Different areas of town, different streets, they have different rules on where you can park your car. Can you park your car on the street at this time or that time? So there's more things to be aware of. If you have your car parked on the street and there's a snowstorm and a plow goes by and you don't have the proper shovel, you might not get out. So there's things like that you have to consider. So just be aware of that. Number 6 on the list is the great schools. If you're a family, you've probably looked into the school system. You probably realize that there's excellent education, whether you're going for public schools or private schools, or maybe you're looking for the higher education. Obviously, we got University of Michigan, which is ranked one of the top universities in the United States and in the world overall, right? I mean, University of Michigan is a popular place to be. And like I said on this channel, a lot of times we cover people moving here with families. I love working with families, love working with downsizers, upsizers, whatever it is, but obviously I have familiarity with families. I got 6 kids of my own. So I understand when you're trying to research schools, you're trying to figure out what the best place is. Maybe you're moving to Ann Arbor, maybe you're moving down south to Saline or up to Dexter or Ypsilanti. So those are things that you have to look at. Like I said, we are the #1 relocation team in Southeast Michigan. So make sure you do your due diligence. All my information is down below. We can talk about the different school systems. We can talk about what makes a good fit for you. I mean, we have different sources. You have niche.com, you got School Digger, you got some other sites out there. But just know that, the Ann Arbor school system, the public school system, is nationally ranked. So it's kind of hard to go wrong, but find out what's best for you. And now we're saving everyone's favorite topic till last, the political views. Ann Arbor, it's a college town. It's depending on which way you sit on, right, left, whatever it is. Just so you know, it's more of a Democratic, more of a liberal area. So you have to be aware of that. We do have the hash bash here. There is the art fairs. So I mean, if that's something that's gonna bother you, you might want to think about that before you make a move. Some people put a lot more weight on that than others. I mean, if it's not a big deal, then it's not a big deal. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. We do have plenty of marijuana stores in the area. That being said, I mean, the people are great. The people are friendly. The people are nice, for the most part, right? I mean, you get in any larger city, you're going to run into your crowds of people that aren't so nice or people that are just super friendly. I mean, it's just the way it is. So I'm not going to really go too far into depth than that, but just so you know, I mean, it's not conservative. It's more liberal. So just be prepared for that. There certainly are areas around that are, lean a little one way or the other. So, I mean, if that's something that's important to you, do a little research on that. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. I mean, it's a college town. I mean, that's predominantly what it is. Now, I mean, there certainly are probably, 5, 10, 15, other things you should know before you move into Ann Arbor, but I really wanted to cover kind of the biggest topics, the biggest things that people ask, people talk about when they're considering making a move or they move to Ann Arbor. These are the things that they really care about the most on a typical day-to-day basis. Now, I'd be curious, put something down in the comments. Is there something else that people should know about before they're moving to Ann Arbor? I don't currently live in Ann Arbor, so I don't see it day in and day out. I'm just hearing from people that I work with, people that I talk to, that actually live down in the heart of Ann Arbor. I live a little bit north of Ann Arbor, so I'm going down into the city, but I don't live there. So, I mean, if maybe you've had some experience, maybe you're from there, maybe you're spent some time there, maybe you went to school there. Help us out. Maybe there's something that people should know. Put that down in the comments below. And look, I always appreciate you guys. I love that you stick around for these videos. Like I said, I love making these videos and I love to help you out. But like I said, you have to reach out to me. Days, nights, and weekends, we got your back. All my information is down in the description below. So let's set up a Zoom call. Let's discuss a strategy, what works best for you when it comes to moving to Ann Arbor, Michigan, or Southeast Michigan as a whole. And until the next video, we'll see ya.